The talk title for today is Start to Accept Life. And that comes straight out of the book that we have been looking at this year. We've been looking at it bit by bit. It is A New Design for Living, and it is by Ernest Holmes and Willis Kinnear. In addition to the book of the year, we also have a book of the month. And this month, we have quite a wonderful book called The Laws of Manifestation. I didn't think I was going to like it, but I love it. So there's not only going to be one on my bookshelf, I'm giving it to a dear person for Christmas. When I first heard the title, The Laws of Manifestation, I thought, is this going to be like watching The Secret? Which was a great movie, but it only went so far. And you know, if you have been here in October, as Dr. Edwards has been speaking about this book, that it goes way beyond think about it and it will happen. So I want to give you an example of the author David Spangler's words. This comes from page 80, where he says, "To work the laws of manifestation is to participate in divinity and should be an experience of deepening soul contact and understanding, not only a method on outer levels causing the attraction and precipitation of desired events, but more importantly, revealing more to the individual about his or her basic divine nature, his or her oneness with the whole." He even goes so far as to say that manifestation is essentially a means by which God expresses itself. Who knew? Who knew when we were, running around manifesting parking places and princes and Porsches and palaces, that manifestation is really about a means by which God is expressing itself. So I thought, as a way of understanding these two different understandings of manifestation, as well as to give a context for today's title, Start to Accept Life, that we take a look at something that might be familiar to some of you, might be new to some of you, and that is the four kingdoms of consciousness. We typically begin by finding ourselves in that was indeed a Kingdom One moment for me. Kingdom One is when you, it seems like things are happening to you, that you have no control, that it's events beyond your control, that you're being tossed about, that reality is something set, that you can't change it. You know you're in Kingdom One if you hear yourself saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" The kind of feelings and thoughts associated with this kingdom are failures, self-pity, being a martyr, self-righteousness, being envious, judgmental, gossiping, being defensive, holding grudges. Let's breathe. The worldview here is that life is dangerous because it's unpredictable, it's scary, and ultimately it's miserable. And at some point, we all get so fed up with being in Kingdom One. Either we have some bottom-out incident or we just get tired and figure there's got to be more to life, that we ask for help, that we say to ourselves, there's just got to be another way. And that is the thought and the feeling that starts to move us into Kingdom Two. We might seek a 12-step program. We might start psychotherapy. Those both are great blessings in terms of getting us out of the victimhood of Kingdom One and into the second kingdom of consciousness, where we start to have the sense that things are happening by me. To get into this kingdom, we have to give up victimhood, we have to give up blame, and we have to take self-responsibility. In order to thrive in this area, we start to use spiritual tools like our intention setting and our affirmations and those wonderful things like visualization and treasure mapping. And we learn about our affirmative form of prayer, spiritual mind treatment, and we begin using it for specific purposes. We also get great encouragement that we're part of a very honorable tradition because we can point to Jesus' words when he said, "As we believe, so it is done unto us." And as we apply our spiritual tools and our practical tools in Kingdom 2 here, our lives become more functional, they're more orderly, they're more predictable. You can read in Holmes sometimes Kingdom 2 language, and in fact, he had a radio show that always began with a statement that actually is a great summary of the consciousness of Kingdom 2, and that is that he would say every week, there is a power for good in the universe, and you can use it. Indeed, here's the place where we learn how to use that power through directing our intention and our attention. And so we actually do have the experience that we understand and even master spiritual laws of cause and effect. It's wonderful. And we could probably live in Kingdom 2 forever. Except, usually, after we've been there a while, one of two things happens. Either we notice that while our tools have been working really well in most areas of our life, there's one area where nothing I can do seems to help. Another thing that can happen is something very unexpected happens. There's an earthquake. There's a diagnosis for a serious disease. And all of a sudden, we don't know where it came from. We don't understand how I could have created this. Both of these things are jumping off places. They're wholly jumping off places to move us into Kingdom 3. The consciousness of things happen through me. To enter this kingdom, what we have to leave at the door is control. Because we realize that there is more going on than our limited self understands. Maybe, just maybe, we should open ourselves to letting something bigger than even what we can think of come through. Maybe there is a greater intelligence that we haven't tapped into yet that can guide our desires and our thoughts and our actions. This is the kingdom where the metaphor of the ocean for God and us as the waves, this is where that metaphor begins to make sense as we get an appreciation for the vastness and the magnificence and the glory of God, and also the closeness that we have with God. Jesus was in Kingdom 3 consciousness when he said, "It is not I, but the Father within that does the work." And I have to tell you that in Aramaic, that word that he used for father was very affectionate, so it's actually closer to daddy. It'd be like he said, "It's not I, but daddy that does the work." And so it is that feeling of closeness to God that starts to happen here. Spiritual practices that become important in this kingdom are meditation, which we do to get beyond our own habitual mind chatter and still it so that something greater can come through. Another great practice in Kingdom 3 is visioning, which in its various forms has us posing the question, what's Spirit's idea for this? In this kingdom, we're using spiritual mind treatment, but not so much for specific purposes as for knowing how to express the qualities of spirit, the qualities of God. Kingdom 3 is also the place where we put our attention on letting go of any thoughts, any ideas, any habit that may be blocking our ability to receive. Blocking our ability to receive what Holmes called the divine givingness of spirit. In this kingdom, Jesus' statement, "Not my will, but thy will be done," makes sense. It wouldn't have made sense in Kingdom 1 there, because if you said to somebody in Kingdom 1, "Not your will, but God's will be done," it would be like, "Oh, great, now somebody else is going to impose their ideas on me." And, it doesn't make a lot of sense, especially in the beginning of being in Kingdom 2. I remember when I was happily using my treasure maps and my intentions, and I thought, thy will be done. What? I don't quite understand. Because Kingdom 2 really is about my will. But in Kingdom 3, we can stand with St. Francis when he prays, "Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love." And later in the prayer where he says, "Grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console." So you can hear that there is a shift in focus between improving things for ourselves and being the vessel where blessing can happen, not only for ourselves, but for other people. In this kingdom, we would probably want to amend Holmes's radio statement and say there is a power for good in the universe, and it can use me. Now, if we're thinking about manifestation here in Kingdom 3, as we open to a greater power and allow it to work without obstruction through us, then in fact, manifestation can become easier and more effortless than before. It's a wonderful place to be, and I have to point out that if we find ourselves in Kingdom 1, know that we can't just hop to Kingdom 3. It doesn't work. One of the great blessings of Kingdom 2 is it gets us ready for Kingdom 3. You see, if I am in Kingdom 1, and I'm thinking I'm controlled by other forces, I have to spend time in Kingdom 2 experiencing that I have control before I give it up in 3. I have to spend time in 2 learning that Spirit is good, that Spirit is working for me, that I can trust Spirit before I can go into 3 and hand over control to Spirit. So wonderful as Kingdom 3 is, we can go on. Here comes Kingdom 4, the kingdom that is known as me. In fact, this kingdom of consciousness, we should probably put a capital M, because what's happening here is that the consciousness here is of the individual who knows himself or herself to be one with the divine source, one with divine life, one with that great all that is, one with God. What do you think you have to give up to get into Kingdom 4? Separation. Any sense of separation. Jesus was in this consciousness when he said, "I and the Father are one." Because this is the consciousness that knows that all is one. We can hear it in the words of the mystics. Here's St. Catherine of Siena, Italy, 14th century. She says, "There the soul makes her home, like the fish in the sea and the sea in the fish." I'm not totally sure I understand that yet, but I can feel that it is a taste for me of Kingdom 4. When it comes to manifestation in this kingdom, Holmes has some guidance. He says that mystics intuitively perceive truth without process. Without process. If you're here, you know that there's no lack, that the thing that is desired already exists. Would you use spiritual mind treatment? Well, you could. You could use spiritual mind treatment to give thanks for the revealing of that which already exists. Would you still meditate? Probably more than ever. As the female mystic Mirabai, 16th century India, said, "My love is in my house." Now, if you knew your love was in your house, wouldn't you want to spend time just hanging out in that house? What's it like in Kingdom 4? Well, here's another mystic, 13th century mystic Muktabai, who said, "I'm not troubled by coming and going. I am beyond all vision, above all spheres. His spirit lives in my soul." I don't know that I've met anyone who lives most of the time in Kingdom 4, but I know for sure some of us have at least visited Kingdom 4. Which also brings up an important point for these 4 kingdoms. It's possible to live basically in one kingdom, 2 or 3, and have that worldview and use those tools and found our thoughts and our actions in that consciousness, and to visit other kingdoms. So remember that list of things that signify Kingdom 1 behavior, like blame, shame, feeling like a martyr, gossiping, feeling self-righteous, etc.? That's a nice list to know, because if you ever find yourself doing one of those things, you know that you're in Kingdom 1 and something needs attention to get you back into 2 or 3. I notice myself that election times tend to seduce me into Kingdom 1. Here's another example. Imagine a person who's living comfortably. They're grounded in Kingdom 2 or they're grounded in Kingdom 3, and then maybe they have a car accident or they lose their job, something kind of unexpected. It could potentially put the person back into Kingdom 1 temporarily, but now they have the tools to re-understand and move through and move up in consciousness about this new situation. Now, which of the 4 states of consciousness a person is in will determine how they hear what you say to them. It will determine how they hear spiritual truth. So today's topic, start to accept life. If I were to say that to someone who was predominantly in Kingdom 1, they might think that by accept, I meant put up with. And they might think that by life, I mean these current circumstances you seem to be stuck in. So when they hear to say start to accept life, they're thinking, oh, she's just telling me to put up with this stuff I already am putting up with. Kingdom 2. If I said to somebody in Kingdom 2, start to accept life, they'd probably get excited because they would hear the word accept as receive, and they'd probably say, bring it on. Because they're aware that life is a process that is for them, that it's good, and that they're at choice as to whatever they wish to accept. It reminds me of that Louise Hay image of the ocean of good and us going to the ocean with a bathtub rather than a teaspoon. Start to accept life in Kingdom 2. From the point of view of Kingdom 3, we're very aware that life is actually life with a capital L. That Holmes is referring to that infinite good, to God. And we're aware that we don't have to go to an outside source for it, but that it's already pouring itself through us. From this point of view, start to accept life means to continuously be open to expressing more good, more God, to start afresh every moment, to be more receptive, more open to the divine life that is flowing through us, so that not only it blesses us, but it blesses all around us. And so it is in that consciousness that I would like to end by reading some words of David Spangler's Book of the Month, Laws of Manifestation, almost as if it's a poem. God in its wholeness is the only reality. Everything in the universe is directly or indirectly related to everything else through this wholeness. And there is no barrier of time, space, or circumstance that can obstruct the right flow of energy between affinities within the whole. As I think in my heart, so I am. As I am, so I create my world, attract my environment, and manifest my being in relationship to the whole. God is all there is. In God, there is no lack. God is reality. The more we can perceive and understand this and live within this reality, the more we can work the laws of manifestation successfully on every level and in every circumstance of life. Through oneness with God, I am one with all things, and through this oneness, I can become the supreme manifester. I invite you to turn within for just a moment as we anchor that in prayer, remembering that indeed there is only one power, one presence. It is that power and presence of the goodness, the source of life itself. It is with us in every moment of our eternal lives. So it means be at peace that whatever kingdom we might be in, whether it's victimhood or feeling empowered or knowing Spirit is flowing through us or feeling our oneness with God, wherever we might be in consciousness momentarily, does not change the truth that God is always there. Even if we can't see it, it's there, holding, guiding, sustaining, loving us, and impelling us into greater good. It is for this awareness and how it uplifts our lives going forward that I give thanks now as I release this, and together we say, and so it is.